Hello everybody, my name is Tiffany, I'm the Tipsy Artist, and we are going live today to do our beautiful Faith Angel wings. So I have my trace all done, and we'll talk about that in just a second, but I also want to show you the model. We've done this at a lot of studio classes, so this is our inspiration for today. All right, also just real quick, I do want to show you this too. We had the honor of prepping a Braille canvas. I've had some people that have come to me who are not able to see, and so they have to feel their way through the experience. So I use what's called the slick paint by Tulip, and then I prepare this canvas for them. Hi, Lo. And so this is pretty cool. So this gives the canvas a little bit of a relief with the design. That way they can feel their way through the process. And I call this a Braille canvas. So if you know anybody who needs something like this, let me know. I don't know of anybody else that does this. Maybe there is somebody, but anyway, we do these. They're pretty cool. And we've had some really cool experiences, great experiences, because a lot of the process is about the therapeutic aspect of the painting and how you feel as you do it, and so it's just a really awesome thing. So that's very fun. So we can give you some more guidance on that if you need it. And then again, here's our model again. All right, and then let's talk about this beautiful trace we have back here. So we have templates. And coming soon, as fast as my little hands can draw them out. Thank you. We will also have some ready to go trace with graphite paper. So that'll be the line art on a page with graphite paper that we're going to start doing with our kids as well. So I'm working on that just as fast as I can. But in the meantime, right now, we have these templates. And as we do this, we really start to get feedback from y'all what's easier. And so I feel like this new step that we're going to go to is going to be a lot easier for you. But I did take a lot of pictures of my process today to show you how I mapped all this out. So basically we've got the wing and the heart with the crown. And I did use my ruler on this so that I can make sure that this little guy right here was in the center. Okay, and then from there's a little bit of an overlap with the design where this comes over the top. Just like that, and then we flip it over to the other side. And I will definitely post all the pictures of this so that you know step by step what to do. That way you know it fits on the canvas, both sides. So again, this in the center, I did have to measure on that 5.5 inches right into the middle there. And then also here we go, that on either side, and that works perfectly. I even use the pencil first on this one. I think it's much easier to get it all just where you're really happy with it. Plus, we have certain elements that definitely need to come out in front and certain elements that are behind the other object. So you don't want that hard line of the Sharpie coming through the image. So I did everything in pencil first. Then I took my little Sharpie and then I firmed all those beautiful lines up. Okay, so here's another tip for you though. If you would like to, this is another super easy way to do this. I have to work very quickly since I go live, so I have to keep my painting process flowing. But with you being at home, you can take your time for the process. You can actually paint through the whole thing first. Follow me through that. Then let it set up and dry completely. Then take your templates and then over the top, then pencil that on over the top and then paint into that. So that's also super, super easy. So that's another step that I encourage you to do as well. But this is also another way to do it. So you can map it all out in advance, but so that you don't lose all your work, you've got your nice Sharpie lines that will pop through that paint, which is pretty fun. So to me anyway, I like it. So that just goes well with my style. All right, so here we go. We're just about to get started. And hello to everybody out there who is joining us. And hi, Lo. Hi, Donna. Hope y'all are having a beautiful day. And there's so many other people I can't see. Hi, Terry. But hello to everybody. All right, so we're going to start by mixing up our colors here really fast. And we have, with our awesome little kit, so we send everything to you in the mail, so you're all ready to go. But we do have, mine's kind of a big hot mess right now, but yes, happy Friday. But we've got all this lovely paint for you, 12 tubes of heavy bodied paint. It's very long lasting, super awesome. And then we've also got our brushes ready to go here. that comes with your kit. We've got the canvas, the templates, all that fun stuff. Hi, Donna. And then we've got a lovely bucket of water here nearby. I've got my supplies out. And then I just grabbed a rag or a paper towel. I personally really love rags, so yes. Hi, Deborah, from West Virginia. Yay, that's exciting. That's pretty far away. I hope the weather is beautiful in West Virginia. Usually is. All right, so here we go. We're going to be mixing some blue cyan and some Viridian and some white. So let me show you what that looks like. I've got a big old amount of white and black here loaded up nearby, but all right, so here we go. I've got Viridian first. This is actually one of my most favorite colors in this kit. I just adore it. So that's the Viridian. It really looks a lot like a jewel tone teal, kind of like that. It's very pretty. All right, and then I've just got this primary cyan, that's blue. All right, and then I will grab my biggest brush, which is my mama brush, and I'm going to start to mix all this together. So I'm going to start by just pulling into the paint on the side here, and then I'll pull into the blue, and then I'll pull into the Viridian, and I keep pushing those all together until I'm happy with the color that I want. And I want a little bit more Viridian, so I'll pull that in. Now let's pull in a bunch of white. That's starting to get to where I want it to be, but I still want a lot more white in here. So I'm going to really lighten this up because I'm going to have it be pretty light. So there we go. That's starting to be more of what I want right in there. Okay, so here's another helpful hint. Working at home, you can always, and preferred, place your canvas on a flat surface. That way you can just go back and forth over the top, and you can even add just a tiny amount of water into the paint. Hi, Rhonda. And so that way it gives it more of a fluid feel to it, and it extends the paint too over the surface area. However, as you are working in if you have it on an easel, like I have to have it so you can see it, then I can't just dip into water and place it down on the canvas because I'll get water runs. So you have to be really careful with that. But I am a huge fan of water as long as your canvas is flat, and then that way you don't get water runs, and it really does help your process be a lot more fluid and smooth, and it extends that paint all the way out. All right, so I've got a lot of white here into the mix, and again, my mix here is white, primary cyan blue, and then some Viridian. I've used almost all of that dollop of Viridian, a very large amount of white as I pull that in, and then just a little touch of that blue. So now I'm really happy with the way that looks, very light and bright. And then I will start to position this all the way across my canvas here, just wipe it all the way across. And I do realize that I have Sharpie on here. I know that it will bleed through. That's actually a desired effect for me as I teach, so that I can still have a reference on that shape. So if you are a fan of the hard line edges, it's actually a certain kind of style. Some people appreciate it, some people don't, to each his own. If you love it, then I encourage you to try this type of style to keep all your shapes in place through the painting process. If you are more of a fan of some softer edges without the hard line edge, then what I encourage you to do is go ahead and paint your entire background first. Just sweep that paint all the way through, and then let it set up and dry completely. Then you can take all your templates and then you can lay them on over the top and then trace around them at that stage. So I don't do that as I teach live. As you can just imagine, we'd all be sitting here just chatting away, waiting for paint to dry. So we're not going to do that. So we're going to just have fun and keep it moving. But you can see how it's all showing through. So that's lovely. That helps me keep the process going and still teach you different options on how you can do this. And as I do this, I also like to sweep through a little bit of some white as I go. So I've got my color that I mixed up, and then I also keep that white off to the side, And then I'll push that white through too, just back and forth. And I find that to keep my brush strokes very smooth and fluid, I will actually extend that stroke all the way across, and then I don't lift off until I'm all the way off the canvas. And then if I want to see like more of these colors really just pop out over the top, then I'll use a lighter hand. So I'll hold that brush over to the side parallel to the canvas, and see how that allows more of that white to just rest right on top there. You can also do that maybe with a little bit of the pure blue. Just barely let it lay on top. Also, the Viridian would be pretty that way too. I need to probably load up on my plate a little bit more, but I can just kind of push that off on the side and just lightly kind of drag that through the paint there. Hi, Audrey. All right, so here we go. We are working in all of our backgrounds. Just back and forth. I want to make sure I get my little edges as I go too. Just kind of just very lightly curl over the edge. Now you can absolutely do the full sides of yours if you're going to hang this on the wall and you don't want to worry about framing it. You can also paint the sides as well. Alright, so I'm going to keep swishing this back and forth. You can even go lighter if you want to with this color. You can, you know, position in a lot more of the white to really lighten it up. And just keep it flowing back and forth. And as I mentioned before, as long as you position this on a table, then you can actually just barely dip into the water. Like for example, your little water bucket here, you could actually just barely dip into it. And I give a little shake so that it's not just dripping. And then you could actually have that run back and forth through your canvas. Now I have to be really careful with that so that I don't get water runs. So because I'm working vertically, it's where you can see it, then I try to avoid teaching with that, but I still like for you guys to know that that is certainly an option too. All right, this is really pretty. I want to add a little bit more white. So lots of back and forth here. And I like the look of that white coming through as a highlight. Almost looks more like a sky with a little bit of that cloud cover coming through there. So I'm actually going to touch into it more with a lot more white. And I can still do that and get a nice soft blend and fade while the paint is still wet. And I am using some pretty firm pressure. And if you have it flat, then this is also when a little bit of water pushed into the mix helps just a little bit to help it softly blend in. So a little soft fade in there. So I'm going to come back in here with more of this really fun turquoise color up here. And then a little bit more of the white. Again, just alternate back and forth. And just keep remembering to take that brush all the way across. That way you won't get choppy brush strokes through it. So don't lift off pressure until you're off the canvas. So start on the edge, pull it all the way across, firm pressure all the way across. And I keep on alternating between the blues, those different shades of blue, and that white to give it some nice variety in the sky. And then remember, you can also dip into some of these darker colors too. So I'm going to dip into a little bit of that cyan blue. Thank you. Yes. Oh, I do. Yeah. And hi, Robin, by the way. We do already actually have a painting online with a hammock. It's called, I think, the Smiling Love Trees hammock. I don't know. Sometimes I get a little too creative with my titles and I can't remember what I called it. But it's a beach scene and it's got 2 palm trees holding a hammock. And it's really cute. And I actually already have that online. It's on Facebook and on YouTube. It's really fun. And then I teach you how to say I love you in the beach. Like it looks like you took a stick and wrote it in the sand. But I'm with you on the hammock idea. Sounds wonderful. My husband actually mentioned that just yesterday. He said we needed a hammock in the backyard. Hi, Sean. All right, so we have all of our beautiful background done now. So this is very pretty. My next step is going to actually be to work in the dark gray sections of the angel wings. So we'll do a little bit of that too. All right, so I'm going to take my mama brush and I'm going to put her into the water. So here we go. Quick little twist. So I apply firm pressure, spin the brush round and round and round, and that helps release that paint. And clean it off. Sometimes it takes a while. Just keep pulling it out, checking it to make sure it's good. I had a lot of paint in my brush, so it's taking a little bit of time to get that all cleaned off. Okay, let's see here. Also, if you don't have time to get to your brushes, I always tell people just go ahead and leave them in the water. That's much better than letting them just lay out with paint on them on your paper towel. Best case scenario, wash them out immediately. If you're drinking and having a good time and you don't want to think about it, put them in the water. Our brushes are tough, they can handle it, I promise you. I have painted with hundreds of thousands of ladies in the last 10, 20 years at big shows. Our brushes stay in water sometimes, I hate to admit this, but for weeks. And we've had brushes that are 10 years old and they are still fabulous. So we have pushed our brushes to the limit and these brushes are amazing. All right, we love you, Royal Brush. Yes. Okay, so here we go. We are going to paint into the gray. And I need my little bit brush because we have a lot of little detail work to do. So, and as I was pulling my water over to me earlier, I just like took a big old bloop of water in my plate. So that kind of makes me sad, but it is kind of fun looking. I don't know, kind of interesting. But I'm going to try to get that excess water off because I need to get the gray off of this. Oh look, we're doing the acrylic paint pour process. I've always wanted to try this. I have not actually ever done that. I've been so busy doing my one thing, if you will. But someday I'll have to play with that process a little bit. I think that'd be fun to do with my family. All right, so I have my little bit brush here, and I've got my white and my black and all kinds of watery mess over here on the side. Isn't that fabulous? I just tried to shake it off like a dog. Okay, so here we go. We're going to push into a little bit of the white, a little bit of the black. Let's mix that together. I need not exactly too dark of a charcoal, but kind of working on that charcoal gray, but I'm going to push a little bit more white into it. And that's about like a medium gray color. All right, so I'm going to mix those two together. And then I need to twist the head of my brush into a nice fine point. There it is. All right, so we've got all these little marks in here that are showing through. So this is what makes this angel wing really easy. We're just going to paint into those shapes. So I just hold my brush like a pencil and I just follow these little lines in here. So it's a very simple process to do this. So, and I'm not sure if you can see that or not, but I traced out that design in the beginning and I did it with a Sharpie. And this is that stage where You can either have prepped it like I did in the beginning with the Sharpie on just the lines that you want to show through, or you can let all this set up and dry and come back in and then do your line work over the top at this point too. But I do want to bring it closer to the camera so you can see how it's all showing through, and then we're basically just filling into all of that detail work on our angel wings. All right, so here we go. Quick little twist again into the paint. I'll twirl the head of this into a nice fine point. We just have all of this to work into. So this is helpful for me at this point because it gives me a chance to go ahead and let all of my background set up and dry. So the white will be one of the final steps that we actually do. This is going to be that first layer, if you will. So we'll just work, as we work in all of this pattern, then all my blue is setting up, and I really need for that to happen because as I go into my red heart, for example, hi Larry, thank you. I don't want all this blue mixing with the red. So I do want to go ahead and have a nice pure pop of red over the top of that heart. So this is nice, so it gives me a chance to work on something else. So I can let that set up and dry, and then we'll come back and touch that up here in a minute. So I don't know how everybody's doing today. We're having a really great day today. Started off with coffee outside in the morning. And then my honey bear made me breakfast because we don't want me having any more low blood sugar attacks while I'm filming. Those are not fun. And now he is having lunch with his daughter. So he went into town to have lunch with her. And then he's been working on surfboards outside. So, for those of you who do not know, my husband is also an artist. He's very talented, way more talented than I am. And he makes everything. Everything. Furniture, paintings, drawings, everything. Surfboards. So he's doing some custom surfboards right now for some people. And they're going to be really cool. Yeah, my honey bear was actually on HGTV a long time ago for making chairs. He was famous for making these really cool chairs. And then he used to have a show on PBS for a while too. So I think he would like to do that again. Could be really fun. I think it'd be a blast. Anybody out there still watch PBS? I don't know. I don't actually watch a lot of television, so I don't know. Is that terrible? I don't know. I just don't. I work a lot, and that's about all I do. So yeah, I think I'm okay maybe for not watching too much TV. It's going to be all right. But I know they have some really good stuff on. I do have to admit, I did catch a few things on Netflix just recently. You know, those experiences where it's like watching a train wreck and you just can't stop. So of course I watched Joe Exotic, is that what it was called? Yeah. So See what happens when you watch TV. I love PBS. Yay! That's awesome. Good to know. Yeah, we really do too. Oh, what's funny is I know who I was watching the other day. I was watching Rick Steves. I was just, oh my gosh, I just could not get enough of Rick Steves. So he has that travel show, and especially now, you know, we can travel a little bit, but you know, he goes to Europe, all over the world, and that's obviously very challenging right now, or not happening at all. So I was watching just as much Rick Steves as I could get. And then I have a tendency to watch movies that I've seen over and over again. I just can't watch them enough. Under the Tuscan Sun, Bottle Shock, It's a Good Year, Oh Chocolat. Anybody else feel me out there on those? Those are just amazing, amazing movies. I could just watch them over and over and over again. But I do have to admit, the Rick Steves thing, I felt like I learned so much, and I felt like I was actually there, really experiencing it with him. And he is so precise with his descriptions, and I also love the fact that he's not at all pretentious, and so he has this really wonderful laid-back quality about him, where he makes everything very easy to understand, very approachable. So I'm just a huge Rick Steves fan now. I'm just doing a big old Rick Steves plug. So if you're bored, don't know what to watch, oh my gosh, he is just a real treat. All right, so lots of pretty little shapes here in this beautiful angel wing. And I have to admit, Rick Steves was probably a lot more healthy for me to watch than Joe Exotic, or Exotic Joe, or whatever that movie was. That Netflix original. Was fascinating though. Was very interesting. All right, so as I do this little bit of line work here, I am doing a little trick with my pinky that I want you to take note of. So I will rest the weight of my hand on my pinky, and that helps stabilize my hand. And it makes it to where I can do tiny little intricate areas of the work with, you know, very smooth precision. So it really helps. So to me, it's kind of like training wheels on a bike. You just want to make sure that you place it somewhere where you don't poke into wet paint. I have sometimes not been paying any attention and poked my pinky into wet paint, and then I've made little peck marks with my pinky all over the place. I don't know. There may have been a glass of wine involved. So you look back later and go, oops. Oh well. Texture. There are no mistakes, only possibilities. All right, so we're still just refining these beautiful little details in here. Almost getting done. We're down to our last one. This is exciting. All right, sweet. Okay, so now what we're going to do, I'm going to take this beautiful little bit brush of mine, and I'm going to leave my water right where it is, because if I start sloshing around again, who knows what'll happen. All right, so I'm going to rinse off my brush. I'm doing that, I'm just going to take a chance, be risky. All right, so I hold this up. As I take this brush into the water, here's my trick. So again, I apply some pretty firm pressure, turn it round and round and round and round, and that helps release the paint. And then I just keep checking it until it comes out clean, and then I just drag lightly on the end of the cup there. And then one quick little wipe so that it is just moist and there's not a lot of excess water coming out of the brush. Now I want to come into some pure white paint. We're going to start to work this into our beautiful angel wings. And there might be a little bit of residual wet gray that we pick up into, and that is actually quite lovely, so we're not afraid of that. That'll be kind of nice, actually. So I will start to work in around those shapes. So again, this is my little bit brush, and I just work around the gray. And this is really just the right size brush to work in and around these shapes in here. And up here at the top, a little bit of a V happening. So it's really fun how this all works out, and I do have to give a lot of credit to my husband on this, because angel wings are very intricate and they can be very challenging to paint. So my husband's the one that came up with this template so that a lot of the hard work would just be done for you in a really abstract way. So it takes out the complexity of it for a beginner. So it's really nice. Because that's what we're about. We want to make sure that you've got a really strong, iconic shape at the end, and that you don't feel like you have to absolutely master a lot of technique before you get that done. So it's just all about the pleasure of the process and then feeling really good about what you've accomplished at the end and the experience of it. So we put a lot of thought into making sure that the templates have a lot of simplicity to it, and it makes it just really easy for beginners. That's our big goal. And learn a little something in the process. But see, that nice little shadow will just be in there now. So isn't that wonderful? And even if a little bit of that blue peeks through, that's also a nice quality. So you might get a little bit of that soft blend that happens. You know what? I just realized I missed a little bit of gray right there. Hold up. I got this. Come back in with a little bit to the rescue. I watch PBS for the artist shows and sometimes the cooking shows. I record them. I really do need to do that as well. I think that's a wonderful idea. All right, so a little bit, and I'm back into the whites. I'm just so happy to know that there's still some good old-fashioned TV on. So, I don't know. I used to, I hate to admit this, but here it goes. I used to make fun of my mom for watching the Hallmark Channel. Yeah, and then you know what happened? Then I started watching the Hallmark Channel. Oh no. Yeah, at the holidays, that's when it happened. Hi, Rolinda. Yay. Yeah, you need this painting in your house? Yeah, we got you. So I don't know if anybody else watches the Hallmark Channel, but it's kind of just goofy, feel-good, cheesy, you know. Do I give classes for more advanced painting? So there are times, it depends on the painting. So yes, I'm starting to dabble a little bit more into that. I used to not do anything for more advanced painting, but we're starting to do a little bit more of that. I will definitely say that my niche is more just for beginners, for sure. But like I did Faith Windmill with some more intricate cloud cover, and I did a Longhorn Steer just recently. Those are two I can think of right on the top of my noggin that are quite a bit more advanced, and they have some more complex techniques taught. But yeah, we'll definitely get into a little bit more of that, especially now that I'm teaching almost every day. I have a tendency to appreciate things that have a little bit more complexity to them they are enjoyable to teach, to kind of, you know, delve into some new fun techniques. So it's very fun to do that. So yeah, we're getting there. Those are two I can think of, and I'm sure there's more. I know I will be doing a, let's see, I've got a daisy and pink flower of hope, and they are a little bit more advanced. They have a fun process to them. So for example, like this painting is very simple, where you're just painting into shapes. And then those classes there's actually a lot of texture techniques and things. Hallmark, yes, all the time, and my kids make fun of me. Yay! And you watch me too, good, awesome, thank you. Yes, let's just all, you know, watch Hallmark together. Yeah, it's really fun. And then after the holidays, I notice I have to take a little bit of a break from it, because I just, you know, sometimes you can't take it anymore. But I kind of OD on it a little bit. Hi, Sammy. Hi, Monica. Hi, Billy. Hi, everybody else I can't see. All right, so still coming into these little shapes. Again, just filling in that white. And we love the fact that that gray will still kind of peek through, and it just looks like beautiful detail in our beautiful little angel here. And I'm using my little bit brush. And just holding it like a pencil and just working around all those little details. So lots of little details here. Trying to think if I've seen anything good. Like, anybody seen any good movies lately? Anything good on Netflix that I need to be watching? My daughter tells me I need to watch, what's it called? Is it New Girl? Maybe somebody can help. Zoe Deschanel, I think is her name. She says I really need to watch that. I am going to have to probably start watching a little bit more TV, because I'm getting to the point where there's seasons of my work, and so sometimes I'll spend a full season of just doing a lot of design work where I'm actually just lap painting, if you will, or lap drawing. That sounds terrible. Not a lap dance, people. This is a lap paint. Okay. So sounded better in my brain. And it came out and I was like, what? Okay, but anyway, so when I do that, it's kind of fun because I get to cuddle with my dog and spend time with my honey bear, and we kind of veg out and do all kinds of movies, but I always have something that I'm working on where I'm doing the sketch work, you know, for the design work, and it's like the first phase. So I do a lot of that process first, and then I kind of develop at that stage, and then I progress and make the templates and all that fun stuff. It's funny, I discovered that because we had it was my mother-in-law that came to see us. And normally I'm just go, 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 and I'm always painting standing up, and I'm in my studio, and it's just between this and the computer. And she is in her 80s. This is my mother-in-law. She's such a sweetie pie. We call her Nanny Sue. And she was going to be with us a week, and she was just sitting in there was only one room she could be in. She could only be in the TV room. and she could just sit there all day. She had to be real careful about how much movement she had during the day, and so she was very lonely because we were working so hard and trying to get everything done. And I thought, I have got to find something to do next to her in that room. So I've got to figure it out. So I decided to work small and create a lot of designs on a small surface on my lap and sit with her and hang out. And I did that for a week, and then I just realized, wow, this has become like a really neat way to work, and have that be a part of my creative process. That way I can spend more time with certain loved ones that I need to, and then, you know, change it up a little bit. Alright, still using little bit brush, just working those details in and around those tiny little shapes. So hold the brush like a pencil. Also, don't forget that little technique with your pinky to help stabilize your hand. Again, it is like the training wheels on a bike. Help stabilize your hand so that you can maneuver and get into those smaller areas there. Yeah, we used to have a, back in my, I may go back to this again. We live in Guthrie, Oklahoma right now, and on Oklahoma Avenue, 1 block over, we used to have a loft over there. My husband actually had made me a beautiful surface area just like this, to where I could work in the living room, and I loved it because I never wanted to be away from anybody. I always need to be around people. So we don't have that right now. Well, there is a living room area, by the way, beyond this. So I always have to have people near me. But when my mother-in-law was here, she had to be in a different living room. There was no comfortable seating for her here. But anyway, I'm going to have him make me another area like this in that other room, so that I can always be around people when I paint. I don't like to be alone, so that's my thing. I don't know. Some people love being alone, like Keanu Reeves. I've read that he just loves being alone. I don't like it. I don't like being alone. I like to be around people. In fact, my mom and my dad have this really funny story about me when I was a little girl. And I always had to be around people. I couldn't stand to be alone. And like, even when I had to go to the bathroom, I couldn't, if they had a big party going on or something, and I was very little, okay, so, but I had a little porta potty, and they said that I would always drag my porta potty out in the middle of the party and just sit in the middle of everybody. And they would ask me why I would do that, and I would say because I don't want to be alone. I don't want to miss anything. So some things never change. Now, I do go to the bathroom by myself. Don't worry. Yes. Some things you have to do by yourself. But, you know. All right, so there's a fun fact. I never like to be by myself. So yeah, that's why I actually really enjoy so many of these live shows. So we have to find a way to be really connected to people. And then speaking of all that too, I'm also introducing a line of homeschool stuff. And it can be, you know, there's no age limit on learning, so it can definitely be for all ages. But it will have curriculum with it, and I just put that online this week, to where every painting theme has curriculum. So fun fact sheets that have to do with, like for example, with this one, I just put it online, like I think yesterday. So if you order this, you get a fun fact sheet about all this trivia about angel wings. It's just kind of fun to look over and either learn for yourself or share with your kids. So I used to be a kindergarten teacher a long time ago, and so I really enjoy teaching that way. But also I appreciate how kids really need a lot of personal interaction with real people through this process. So yeah, because I was telling my hubby about a story about me when I first started going to school in, this is Texas, this is forever ago, I think I was about 5. And for some weird reason, my parents put me into this school where you would go in rotations in little rooms and they would put headsets on you. So you were learning in complete isolation, and they just expected you to learn everything that way with headsets. And I regressed terribly as a child. I just really started to freak out with that experience. I had always been in a regular classroom setting before that, where I was around people, you know, just like what you would imagine a classroom experience to be. And I thrived when I was around people, and then in that experience where they put you in rooms with headsets, I just, man, I just wigged out. I mean, just, you know, rocking in a corner somewhere, sucking my thumb. No, sucking my thumb. That's what it's called. Sucking my thumb. Yeah, way too old for that stuff. Just really wigging out as a kid. Could not handle it emotionally. So they pulled me out. That was public school. They went ahead and worked their tails off to put me in a private school so that I could have human interaction and be around kids. And I went back to thriving again. So anyway, so no matter what happens with the world right now, I want to make sure that we have experiences that create companionship and human interaction. So we have to have it. We have to talk to people. All right, so here we go. We've got all of our, we're almost done with this. This is amazing. All right, so all the white that comes around the wings here. And again, super simple technique this is. And if you want, you can, you know, come back over and do like a second coat of white and kind of feather this in. That's an optional step. Or you can let a little bit of that blue kind of peek through in there too. It's kind of a nice look that way as well. I want to make sure I've got all my white in here, so let's see. I think I'm good. All right, so I've got all that done. Now this is completely set up and dry, so I am going to go ahead and push into a little bit of this beautiful red color. We'll get that loaded up. All right, so a little bit. I do want to make sure that it is dried off. And I want, let's see. All right, I want to make a cooler red. So in our kit, we've got a warm red, cadmium. I want to cool it off a little bit, so I'm going to mix it with a primary magenta. All right, so we'll do a little bit of both of these. And then I'll let you see this as well. All right, so we've got our magenta and our cadmium red. And I'm going to use my little buddy brush. Oh, yay, awesome. Yes, it's very fun. There's a lot of, okay, so I will hook you up, speaking of that. So the comment on here is I just ordered the Longhorn template. So when I ship that out to you, I will make sure and send you the trace, because there was so much complexity with the drawing on that the template is not enough for you to have. It will leave you in a very frustrated state. So that's part of what I was talking about earlier, where I'm going to make this beautiful hand-drawn sketch, and then I'll send you some graphite paper with that, and I'll do a video on that as well, so you can see how I do it, how I do the transfer process, but that'll allow you to transfer all the detail onto the canvas. It's going to be really, really super fun and amazing. All right, so I am mixing up my cadmium red, which is a warm red, and a little bit of magenta, so that cools it off to more of a cool red. Very pretty, gives it a lot more depth. I love it. All right, so little buddy brush, and I'm going to start pushing this into that shape. And thank you, by the way, thank you for the order. Yay, very exciting. All right, so I hold the brush more like a pencil to go around that shape. I'll get that line edge done first. All right, so my brush, let me tell you what I'm doing now. My brush was getting pretty full with paint, so I had to really kind of apply some nice firm pressure to thin that out a little bit. Because I want a nice thin line edge, so I need that to get the precision of the line all the way around it. All right, so nice thin line here. And I've got that done, so now I can just work into the center. So then I want to go ahead and turn that handle more over to the side. Flat side of the brush is facing parallel to the canvas. That will give me much better coverage over the surface. And this is a really heavy bodied paint, so it covers really nicely. And so you do have to do a little bit of this feathering out to get a nice soft blend. So I do like a little crisscross motion, just kind of back and forth with it. Crisscross, back and forth. And I see a little bit of a rough edge here, so I'm going to smooth that out, make sure that's nice and smooth. And then I'll work back into the blend, flat side of the brush. And then I'm going to eliminate those, too many straight lines coming in. I don't like how that's, just has a stiff feeling to it. So I'm going to work that back out, feather it back out, little tiny X's back and forth. That has a much nicer blended quality to it. All right, so now I need to do my cross. And yes, yay! Yeah, that sounds awesome. We do have shipping or pickup, so yes, either one. All right, so now we have our lovely little crown on top we need to work into. Lots of teeny tiny little curves on this, so we have to use our little bit brush because we definitely need that small point on the end. All right, so I need to do a quick little twist here into the paint. And also our paint, because it is so heavy bodied too, this is definitely a time when I absolutely recommend placing your canvas on a flat surface. You can just barely touch into a little tiny amount of water. It will help soften that paint a little bit, make it more fluid, and help you get around those teeny tiny little edges. So what I've done is I've actually pre-mixed a little bit of some water into my paint on my work surface, but I make it to where there's nothing dripping from my brush. I have to be a little bit more careful with water because of my canvas being in this vertical position, so I want to avoid any water runs. But if you lay it flat, it really does help prevent that from happening. All right, so I've got these little tiny circles here. And another one here. So I'll work around those real quick, get those little shapes in place. And then a little line down. Now, these are super tiny. Now, here's something else. If this kind of scares you, this tiny work, then this is also certainly a time when you can outline this tiny little shape with a Sharpie. You just have to make sure that all your paint is completely dry. Because the rule on that is when a really good Sharpie hits wet paint, it will just destroy the Sharpie instantly. It doesn't matter if it's brand new, your Sharpie doesn't care. As soon as it hits acrylic paint that's wet, it'll just, you'll have to throw it in the trash. So just be really careful with that, protect your Sharpie. Just wait till everything's completely dry And then you can do some of this line work, and then you can actually paint into the line work. And to me, that's a much easier way to do it. All right, so I've got my outline work done, so I'll go ahead and work into those shapes now. A little bit more of the black. And this is already, it's a little bit tacky, but for the most part it's dry, so I am still using that technique where I rest the weight of my hand on my pinky, and I let that really help stabilize my hand as I go and do all these motions in here. Tiny little motions. And then we're also going to be working in a little bit more of this black detail work, just kind of around the surface area here. So, because this is still looking a little bit raw and unfinished around the edges. So I will do some of this outlining work now too. So I'll take this all the way around. We've got some curves we're working with, so it's still really helpful to use our little bit brush. But when we do get to longer lines, then you can actually make it a little bit easier on yourself and switch over to like a mama brush. So let me show you what I mean by that, because this gets really long in here. So we've got our mama. This is our biggest brush. I do a firm press into the paint, just back and forth. That fills it up, and then it gives me a nice line edge, just like that. So I'm going to do the same thing over here too, just to help kind of prep this and get this ready. Because then I'll come back in and work in the details. But see, this long line is so much easier to do with this big brush. So the long line of the brush works in your favor and helps control your hand through that process. This would take so much more time if you were working with a smaller brush, because the actual head of the brush, first of all, doesn't hold that much paint, so you have to reload constantly, which is what you have to do sometimes when it's really, really small. But when we can, we try to take advantage of that long line of the brush as much as we can. So we did that in there, so that'll help us a lot. Coming around the curve, and definitely with these curves we have to have the small liner to really help us. Get out to a thin wispy edge there. Alright, now as I come in through the bottom here, I'm going to add a little bit of some fun feathering detail, if you will, to the inside of this angel wing. So I'll do one quick little soft wispy line up, so that gives a little bit of some fun detail in there. But still keeping it really simple. Let's connect this little line here. And then see, every time there's a break in between the gray, then that's going to be our goal visually, and that's where we'll come up into that little space right there, and just a soft curve like a diagonal curve. So it's just a fun way to almost create a little bit of a feathering stroke there in between. Help highlight that angel wing. All right, I'm just kind of looking at everything here, making sure I've got my other details in place. You can maybe come into this little section, maybe a tad more. That same kind of detail. All right. Oh, and I need to come around my heart too. That is an option. You don't have to. You can leave it raw. But I'm feeling like it's a little bit raw looking without it. And the style needs to be consistent all the way through. So I'm going to go ahead and do a nice little black outline all the way around this. And I'm getting a little bit of dry brush here, so I will go ahead and reload and take that all the way around. Right, sweet. Okay, so now what we want to do is we can do a little bit of lettering now. And I'm actually going to change directions with the lettering. In the original paint, I had it kind of coming through the heart. I actually want to preserve the iconic quality of the heart here. And I'm going to go ahead and position my word right in through here. I still think it's going to be really strong as centerpiece on top. Or you can not do any lettering at all. So that is totally up to you. And let's see, let's take a pencil here. So definitely do all your penciling first on a dry canvas. I definitely would not recommend just going for it with a Sharpie. And then also we're working on that sheet. I swear I'm going to have it done super soon. But basically, I love it that we're going to start doing the traces, because then I can have the word on there for you too, and then you can actually just use graphite paper and transfer it on. And it'll make it really fun and easy. But for right now, I'm going to go ahead and just freehand this on here. That gives that option for you. So I've got my F here. Check your spelling. That's another important thing. All right, so Faith, okay, and then you can, do a Sharpie with this. Once you know you're happy with it and it fits into the space in a lovely way, you can always use a Sharpie. This is all dry back here. And so I'm going to do a little bit with the Sharpie, and then I'll show you with paint too. So you can see how easy and fun this is with a Sharpie. I want to make sure I'm not sticking my hand into wet paint here. That could be tricky. All right, so there it is with a Sharpie. You can do that. My mom is here. Hi, Mommy. All right, so now I'm going to show you what it's like to paint on there. So take your little bit brush and twirl into the paint. Get a nice fine point. And then remember, you can stabilize your hand by placing it on your pinky, but just make sure you don't push it into wet paint. So I got to be careful of that black I've already done, so you can do that. But then you can just follow along with your lines here and fill in with that black paint. And then as you're going around letters that have a hole or a loop in there, you want to be really careful that you go around the loop. So I'll talk a little bit more about that. That's a big tip that you need to pay attention to. So the reason why is because you could lose that loop altogether in your lettering if you don't go around the outside. So I'm going to show you on a plate here, for example. So there's another loop, so I want to make sure I go around the outside so I don't lose it. Alright, so on a plate, let me show you real quick. So for example, if we have the letter O, like that, you know, if you are to go on the inside, well, I'm still going to keep that one. Let me do another example. All right, let me do, I got it, I got this, hold on. All right, let me take my Sharpie and show you. So this kind of thing happens all the time with beginners. So you write your E, for example. There's your letter E. Actually, I'm going to do another one so you can see the difference between the two. All right, now we've got our little bit brush. Get it all dry here. We can work into this. I'm going to twist into the paint. Now, if you are trying to follow your lines and you paint inside the loop, then you just lost your loop. You lost it. So you got to think about this in advance, and you want to be really intentional about going on the outside of the loop. And then you will keep your loop. So that's really helpful with lettering, because that happens a lot when beginners start to paint their lettering. They lose their loops all the time. So just always think about going around the outside. So that's, you know, E's and A's and O's and all that, you know, fun stuff. Again, anytime you see that little loop, just be real intentional about going around the outside and you'll be fine. All right, so yay! We are done with our beautiful painting. And you're always welcome to kind of, what's fun is you can do another layer of white on this too if you want and kind of rework it a little bit. Or it's good just the way it is. So we're going to go ahead and leave ours. We've got our little bit brush. We're going to sign our masterpiece now. So I'm going to twist into the paint. Nice fine point. And then I will go ahead and just sign right down here. And signature can be done with paint or with Sharpie. Either one. So I won't lie, it's a lot easier with Sharpie. Sometimes you have to use paint though, because if you have a black background and you have to have the contrast, and it's just, then you really almost have to go into paint, unless you've got paint pens, and that works too. Alrighty. Yippee, we're done. This is so exciting. Okay, so this is our Faith Angel, and just to recap on the supplies on all this, so we give everything, we provide everything you need. So we've got brushes online, we've got the canvas, we have the tracing templates, or coming soon, the transfer, all the line work with that, we're working on that. And the paint, we have, I promise yours look better than mine, but we have all these beautiful paints. Aren't those lovely? Okay, so beautiful acrylic heavy body paints for you. And then of course the class. So it all comes, everything you need. And then I'm going to show you what we're doing next. Oh, I knew it was back here somewhere. Okay, so I got it. All right. Anyway, that is all at tipsyartist.com. So you can find all that there. Hey, you're so welcome. All right, now let me show you this. I am doing this tomorrow. I actually know what I'm doing in advance. It's so crazy. I normally don't know what I'm doing. Like I just tell y'all, yeah, I'm painting something. I'll go look. Because I paint so much I can't remember what I'm doing. But yeah, we're doing Be the Light with fireflies in a mason jar tomorrow, so that'll be super fun. So we're excited to see y'all then. But yeah, so y'all have a beautiful rest of the day. Have so much fun. Stay cool. Have fun. And I will see you tomorrow. Mwah.